Today is so much about sovereignty and like reclaiming your life by knowing how to market that I just have to play a couple of these songs that I love while we're waiting for everybody to get here. And I'll play them a couple times as more people come in. And in the meantime, I'm going to like run and get water and do all of that stuff. So feel free to do the same if you're here early. We're not getting started yet. We still have some time, but every time before I do these presentations, particularly today, because today is my absolute favorite of all of them, I have to listen to music to get me in the right headspace. And one of my favorite songs right now is, in my words, about sovereignty and having sovereignty over your life and not being controlled by so many extraneous things that we have no ability to manage. So that's what our first song was about. Just like, how can we take our lives into our own hands in the ways that are possible, have a little bit more control over what is happening? Because there's a lot of things that we can't control that's happening in the world. And we know that the research shows us and our intuition tells us that when we can exert control, we feel better. So today is all about learning how to exert control, getting your own clients in the door, not because life is about money, but because money creates choices and opportunity, which I just took advantage of this week because my hormones have been all over the place. Perimenopause, thank you so much, affecting my concentration and all of that kind of stuff. And I just like quick called my concierge fancy pants HRT doctor. I was like, hello, help me. So that's just one of the places that money has been very useful, because without that, how am I going to show up well for you guys if I can't get my brain fog lifted enough to concentrate to do a 2-hour presentation? I can't. Just talked to a coaching client of mine. Was it yesterday already? Yeah, it was yesterday. And she does couples intensives. And she was telling me she had a couples intensive booked, but her chronic illness flared up so bad that there was no way in heck she was going to be able to run the intensive that next day. And because she's created a cushion in her finances and a practice that flexes with her, and she's attracted clients that will flex with her, she was just able to reschedule it. Like, no big deal. No stress for her, no pushback from the clients, just chef's kiss. Man, that just makes me very, very happy. As we're all getting settled in here, if there were questions that have come up for you as we've been meeting, go ahead and pop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer some of them while we're waiting. It occurs to me that normally when I run this, we have like a free training and then free coaching, free training, free coaching. So you've been able to ask questions in the past along the way, but this time the way the schedule worked out because of my stuff, I wasn't able to do them in between. So we've kind of stacked them towards the end, which means you might be left with some lingering questions in between. So I'm happy to answer those before we start today, or if we have time towards the end, happy to do that too. All right. And if you don't, I'm going to just assume that's because the teaching has been so fire that you have no questions at all. You're like, yeah, I got it. It's all good. We're going to be getting pretty heavy today into strategy, frameworks, and tactics. So if you're like me, you'll need 2 beverages, something about something with caffeine perhaps, and electrolyte mix if that's your jammy jam. And if you need some paper and pens to write, that always helps me to process information. Just down the iced coffee. I love it. Okay, so Liz is asking about why it is that sometimes a $325 fee is easier to get than a $280 fee. So this is pricing psychology, and it's nuanced. So this is something we'd want to talk about specifically, like with your niche and your clients and blah, blah, blah. But think about, here's a really good basic example. If you're shopping for something and you're someone who wants to get a deal on a thing, you're going to be more inclined to buy something that ends with an odd number. So $97, right? If you're shopping and you're the sort of person who's not looking for a deal, you just want the best product, you want an even number on the end. So you're more inclined to hear $100 and go for that than a $97, because in your brain, the 97 calculates to like, probably not as good they're trying to give me a deal. We just know this, we intuit this. So 97 or 147, we're attracting people to us who are looking for a deal. If we're doing flat rates, 100, 200, 300, that's more attracting people who are premium seeking and not looking for a deal. So that's kind of the basic psychology of it, Liz. When it comes to your specific question about 325 versus 280, it's so bizarre, but here's a related example. If my price point was 140, that is at the upper edge of what somebody who's in like medium income can pay. It's a little bit of a stretch. But if somebody has enough money to pay $200 an hour, they're cool paying 140, but you could easily get them at 200, 220 as well. They're looking at a different bracket. So we want to attract people for whom your rate is super comfy. 325 is not a stretch rate for almost anyone. It's a comfy, cozy rate for some people. It ain't a stretch rate. 280 probably also isn't a stretch rate for most people unless you're in, Manhattan or someplace like that. But it's still a different clientele that's going to pay 325. Welcome, everybody. Come on, get situated, get cozy, comfy. Okay, so looking for a consultant to help me hire a personal assistant. Any suggestions? Hired multiple people who weren't a fit. It depends on what you want them to help you with. So say more about that part.
Can I speak?
Please.
Kind of like an office manager. It's a high trust position,
Yeah.
and there's just a lot of details that I want to offload because it's swamping me so I can get to other things.
Yeah, I know two people off the top of my head. My practice assistant's name was Kim Keller. Kim Keller at Mindfulness Cubicle. I'm not sure if she's still doing that job, but she was fantastic. And she was also
Okay.
trained as a therapist herself. So she
Okay.
knows HIPAA. She also did HIPAA trainings for me, so I could have that documented. And then I have a good friend who's super detail oriented. Oh, geez, I'm forgetting her practice name right now. You know what? If you email me, I will get you in touch with her. Let me give you my email address. What is my email
Thanks. Yeah.
address? Amber@gmail.com. And just tell me, like, give me the name of your friend Dawn and her contact information, and I'll get that stuff to you too.
Got it. Thanks, Amber.
You're so welcome. All right, welcome everybody. So glad to see you here. We got a lot to do, but it is my very, very favorite day of the training series. So I really hope that you can be fully present. If you've got distractions going on, turn them off. I've already put myself on do not disturb because I know me and I will be disturbed if I start getting my family group text messages popping up on my screen. There's no doubt. If you're a Facebook scroller, turn that shit off. If you're somebody who needs a little extra activity to keep you focused, as I do, pick an activity that actually helps you to stay focused. So for me, it's markers, Post-its, paper, and I'm writing all sorts of things down, even though, the slides will be yours. You don't need to do that. It just helps me to concentrate. Per usual, I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable, if you could please turn on your cameras. Today, we're getting deep into strategy, so it's very helpful if I can see your faces to see, like, are you leaving? It's good to see you. If you're zoning out, it's very helpful for me to see that, to know, like, oh, okay, this is going over their heads. I need to back up just a little bit. Or maybe you've heard this 10,000 times, and I can go through it more quickly. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care if your hair is done. If you join me in the marketing intensive, you will never see me this put together again. I do this for public viewing, but once you're in my inner circle, I will be in my pajama pants and my hair may or may not be done. Okay, come on in, get cozy, get cozy. Let us go ahead and jump right in. We've got 2 hours today. So if you accidentally have another client booked, see if you can move them, because you're not going to want to miss what's coming. And I say that like seriously. I think it's a very important day. So I teach two things. Again, my name's Amber. I know some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a clinical psychologist. I teach people how to build private practices online. I started doing that in 2015 before everybody knew that that was a thing that you could do. And then really the only reason I was teaching that wasn't because I was like, online therapy is the best, even though I think it is. I was teaching it because I felt like therapists deserved, including me, more freedom, more flexibility, more of an opportunity to be in flow with their clients instead of, like when you're working for an agency and you take whoever they assign to you. And sometimes you're like, I'm a terrible therapist, but it's not that you're a terrible therapist. You just have a terrible match with that particular client. I wanted to help therapists to be able to live more of the life that we help our clients to live. And so then I moved into teaching people how to get private pay clients, because when I started doing the math on, how will we actually afford to pay down our loans? How will we afford to pay our mortgage, to fund our retirement, etc.? It was clear to me that unless you're with one of those unicorn insurance companies that's paying you $220 an hour, it was going to be very hard to get there. If you're with one of those insurance companies who's paying you over $200 an hour, pop it in the chat. I want to know. You don't have to say who it is, because I don't want to, get you in trouble for stating rates. But this is me this past week hanging upside down and having a good life. This is meant to inspire you that you also can hang upside down on monkey bars and have a good life if you have a little bit more margin. What everything is going to come down to, you guys, is that you don't need more tactics. You have been told, get on directories, network, post on social media, but you have not been taught a conceptualization for how marketing works for therapists. So that's what you're going to learn today. I want to let you know that today is the first day that any of you who want to buy my paid program can. Most of you, this is not applicable yet because you don't even know me well enough yet. You don't know if you're going to need it because you have lots to learn in the free training series. But there have been some of you who've been on the wait list now for months. So the doors are open for you. This is the code if you want to use your phone to go ahead and look at the sales page or sign up. Chantel is going to pop into the chat what these savings codes are because we're in early bird pricing. So she'll drop that in. And then if you have been in any of my previous step-by-step courses, you get a big fat discount. So private message her in the chat and she'll give you that discount. All right. How did you hear about this training? Were you subscribed to one of my calendars and so it popped up? Did you hear about it in email, in a Facebook group? Let me know in the chat. And I'll tell you selfishly why I'm asking you this. One, you guys should always be asking your clients how they heard about you so you can double down on that marketing strategy. And I want to do the same. But also, the calendar that I give to you guys, they want me to pay $1,100 a year because so many people are subscribed to it. And I see if that's how y'all found out about this before I'm going to drop $1,100. So let me know in the chat if that's how you found out or if you found out in a different way. I'd super appreciate it. Awesome. Yay, Brittany. I'm so glad that you're here. Facebook, email, followed me for years. Yay, Anna. Email, previous course. Oh, April, I remember you. Oh, the abundance party with Allison. Awesome. Julia, is your colleague Carol O'Sabin? Just curious if it's her or somebody else. All right, let's keep on trucking. I can't wait to start giving you the deets. I want to go over the calendar with you real quick because there's something kind of oddball happening this year. You'll see how we have, these are pretty close together. Like we did a training Friday, we did a training Monday, we're doing a training Wednesday, right? But then there's this big gap right here. And I don't want you falling off and being like, I'll get to this later. So I'm sending out an email series to you that is, again, I'm going to tell you my selfish reason and the nice reason. It is 10 emails and it is 10 steps for you to get private pay clients in the door quickly. These are tactics. They are not strategy. So they're like little helpful hints of tweaks that you can make quickly that will help, like little hacks. The selfish part of this is that I want you to have clients, new clients in the door before our cart closes for the marketing intensive program, because I want you to feel like, this is such an easy yes. I've already been making money. Okay, so selfish and generous all at the same time. Alrighty, back to our page. So just a heads up that that's coming to you because we have this little break here. And here's my promise to you for today. By the end of our meeting today, you will know exactly the formula to fill your private pay spots, whether you want some, like 3 or 4, or whether you want your entire practice to be private pay. And this does not matter. Whatever your rate is, we can fill that. Whatever your location is. So if you're like, nobody in my city can afford that, I got you. We can get you filled regardless of where you happen to be, regardless of your niche. You do need to have one, but we'll talk more about that. And whether you're in person or online. And I want to say something about that for a minute. How many of you are only in person? So you have an office and you go to that office and you see all of your clients there. Give me a yes if that's you. Oh, literally no one. Okay, so this is going to be very applicable to all of you. If you have a practice, a physical location, it's a little easier to market because we can win at SEO if we're just trying to win in one city. We cannot win at SEO if we're trying to win across a whole state. There are hacks that we have to engage, right? This is why it does not make sense for you to pay an SEO expert to SEOify your stuff if you're trying to get beyond your own city. If you are in one teeny little city, then you can get to know the humans around you, right? So really traditional marketing works well for them, but it does not work well if you are trying to get clients beyond your own local area. Here's the other thing about that. Most of us live in a local area we can afford to live in. And most of us cannot afford the rates that we need to charge. So it's not the best place to get your clients for many of us. So I just want to point that out. Okay. I get that question a lot. Like, is this going to work if I'm trying to get clients internationally, if I'm trying to get clients in my whole state from SciPact and I need to get clients from, 37 states? Yes, the framework will work for you. All right, we've talked a little bit about what you've tried before. Let us pop in the chat. What have you already tried that did not work? What did you already try that did not work? You've mentioned directories. You've mentioned social media, paid SEO, Psychology Today, Google Ads. Keep it going. What did you personally try? Website, good. Facebook groups, cold calling, I get anxious and avoid. Yeah. Google Ads. Oh, website isn't found, but people who find me contact me. Ooh, Karen, we can fix that. Okay, Psych Today, Facebook groups, cold calling, blogging. Yeah. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of strategies here that work if you're insurance-based, but don't work if you are private pay or premium private pay. Yeah. So am I going to go there now? Yeah, why not go there now? Somebody just popped in the chat, Psychology Today no longer works. And I'm hearing that a lot. Have any of you had that personal experience that you used to get clients from Psychology Today? You're not getting clients from there anymore? Yeah, okay. Yeah. There are some really ugly reasons why that's happening that I will not get into because I don't want to cease and desist when this goes on YouTube. But here's what I'll say about it for now. Psychology Today, any directory, is never going to fill a premium pay private practice because the people shopping on Psychology Today for a therapist are almost always shopping for an insurance-based therapist, almost always, okay? However, it's still worth it to me to list there, and I'll tell you why. Psychology Today has invested a ton of money into SEO. They write a bunch of blogs and articles. They pay for their SEO to be done. They're spending so much more money than we ever would have to invest in SEO. And merely by having your name and your practice associated with them, you get like the cooties, the SEO cooties. They like rub off on you. And so while your clients might not find you through Psychology Today, your name is going to pop up on the internet more often in other places because you have the SEO cooties from your listing with this directory. Now, there are a lot of directories out there, and not all of them have SEO goodies. Psychology Today has them and has a lot. So for, what is it, $30 a month? For $30-ish a month, to me, it's worth staying with them because it's hard to hack SEO. And this is one of the ways to hack it. Interesting question about ZenCare. ZenCare also has quite good SEO and AEO. Psychology Today has great AEO as well. AEO is AI search. And we'll get into the weeds about how you can rank with both SEO and AEO. But one of the ways that AEO works is it looks to see, who are you affiliated with? And for some reason, the AEO algorithm thinks that when you're affiliated with ZenCare or Psychology Today, that you must be good. And so it pulls your results up faster. So any little technical questions about that, I'm happy to get into either now or when we do our coaching calls. Alrighty, so you've tried a lot of stuff and it's not working. And that's not because there's anything wrong with you. It is just because you had a puzzle piece, but you need all of the pieces because they work in a system. Remember, we briefly talked about get found, get picked. That's our basic system. And I'm going to talk you through what we do under each for you to get found and get picked. This is an important one. I'm going to come back to this slide repeatedly, so feel free to take a screenshot if you would like. We started very intentionally with vision setting because it's the most important part of the marketing that you'll ever do. It's figuring out what kind of life do you want to have before you decide how you're going to set up your practice. And I don't just mean fees, I mean time too. So maybe you only want work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you can have long weekends to go on trips, or you can do your like personal errands and stuff on Mondays and Fridays. Maybe it's that you only want to work in the mornings when your kids are at school and you want to have from 2 p.m. on off so you can pick up your little nuggets and have an evening with them doing fun stuff. It's the most important part of everything we're going to do because it funnels down into your boundaries. Boundaries about time, about money, and about energy. And I want to speak briefly about energy for just a moment here. There are clients that you do amazing work with. And there were clients that I loved working with when I was in university counseling. And I realized quickly that in private practice, despite the fact that I loved those clients and I feel like I did good work with them, they were not a good fit for a solo practice model because they were gonna need acute crisis stabilization. I don't mean like inpatient, but like more people to call than just me because I was in session, right? They're gonna need in between session support, which we could do at an agency and I could not do in my solo practice. So in order to protect my energy boundaries, I had to make some decisions about who was appropriate fit for my solo private practice, okay? I wish I had the slide handy. I'll describe it to you. As we're talking, I'm really trying to walk this fine line between giving you a lot of really actionable information and not overwhelming you to the point of shutdown. Okay, so I'm trying to thread that needle. And so the way that I think about it is, I know vision setting is very important. I cannot do all of the vision setting with you in a 5-part free training series, right? I can just give you a little taste. So I try to add that free tool that gives you a little bit more of a win, a tangible outcome for those of you who come live. But then there's this whole laundry list of other stuff that I want to tell you about that goes under there. And that's all going to be in the paid program, in the marketing intensive. I have a slide somewhere that will say it better than I just described it. So there's a big meta thing that's happening as we move through this training. I'm doing something with you called content marketing, okay? Content marketing is go be helpful out loud about the stuff that you love to talk about and help people with. And it's going to become, you're going to become a magnet for people who are helped by the things you love to talk about. And you could do that for free. And then some of them are going to want to pay you. That's all that this free training series is. It's content marketing. I'm sharing with you helpful stuff. Some of you are going to be like, cool, I got what I need. I'm DIYing this. In fact, about 90% of you. And then there's going to be some group of people that are like, I would like the faster action course, please. Put me in the paid program. The same thing happens for therapists when you do content marketing. I'm going to teach you how to do content marketing today. So you're going to learn it as we go. All right. I was about to share the text string from my family, but I caught it and am sharing the right slide. Okay, let's go here. So we've talked about your North Star. We got specifics. This is the vision setting. I'm just reminding you of it to pull it back front to mind. We talked about how important it is to be clear on what it is and specific on what it is. Not just, I want more money. That's way too arbitrary. But things like, my aunt's assisted living is $4,000 a month. If I wanted to contribute to that, I would need $500 extra a month to contribute to that. So what would that mean for my practice? Or if I wanted to put in a dang pool in Florida, it's about $100,000 to put in an average pool. So what does that mean for my practice and how much I need to charge and how much I need to save? So super duper duper specific. And I'm just going to be nosy. I would love to see your super duper specific in the chat. So my guess is every time we do this, you're going to get more specific. So in the first one, it was freedom, flexibility, flow. In the second time we met, it was probably a little bit more specific. Has it gotten any more specific? Like, I want to be able to be the one who picks up my kid at the bus stop and walks them home, and we have a leisurely snack together and talk about the day. What is your hyper specific reason why it's worth you investing all this time in the free training series? Let me know in the chat. I'm seeing marketing chat in there and I love it. My husband and I want a second property as a vacation home. Yes, I want to be able to travel anytime I want. Yes, yes. I'd like to retire at 62. Yes. I want to be able to go see my kiddo when she moves to Chicago whenever I want. Yes. I want to help families, but not at the expense of my own. I want to take care of myself and my mental health. I want more flexibility. I want to be present with my children and homeschool them out of the country and travel. Where are you going to, Tabitha? I know a bunch of people who've moved to Portugal. Where are you thinking about? I'd like to make an equivalent to my son's college rent payment before each month. Hell yes, that is the level of specificity that I like to see. Yes, yes. Oh, I want to see where Tabitha's wanting to go. Where to go? Colombia, South America. Ooh, nice. Awesome. And Letitia, you made my mom cry yesterday. I got a text from my mom, who apparently was watching this training series. She's not a therapist. She's just my mom. Watching this training series on YouTube and heard your beautiful testimonial and then sent me a screen recording of it and said, this made me cry. So thank you. Costa Rica. Awesome. Liz, I didn't know. I think I knew that. Okay. So remember, vision setting, boundaries. Flow client is what's next. Now, hold on, that's not the slide I want. No, that's not it either. I got ahead of myself. Okay, we'll just go there. Your flow client is different than I think most of us think about ideal clients. So if you get a little bit of the heebie-jeebies when you think about niching down, can you tell me about that in the chat? And I won't go deep, I promise, because we're doing all of that on day 4, but I want to know, do you get a little heebie-jeebie around niching? You'll get bored. Yeah, I hear that. So let me tell you how I conceptualize flow client. You can have as many as you want. You can have 12, you can have 25, you can have 3, you can have 1. You get to have as many as you want. But there are 2 benefits to getting very specific about who you treat well. So if you know there's a sort of person, like I really like working with people who are emotionally dysregulated, or in one of 2 ways, either like all over the place, or they are shutting that shit down. They're not feeling anything because it's too dangerous. I like working with those people, but they also tend to be super smart. And so they tend to rationalize a lot and intellectualize a lot. They also tend to be hyper freaking achievers. So they look real good on the outside, like they've got it together, but internally, maybe a little bit of a hot mess express. You got to get deep to get there. And they love doing homework. I don't love giving homework, but they always want me to give them homework, right? Because then they can check it off that I did the thing that's going to move me forward. Those are my peeps. I love them. The benefit of knowing your peeps is you can write copy that speaks to their soul. And when you do that and somebody lands on that page, they're reading that and thinking, I got to work with this person. They're thinking probably like I did when I found my therapist, like, this is actually going to save me money because he already knows me. I'm not going to have to be in therapy for 4 years because this man knows me. He has not even met me. I can tell by what he's written on his site, right? So that's a conversion. That's a get picked side. Flow client, write good copy, get picked. But on the get found side, when people Google or they get into, whatever chat, AI chat thingamabob they're using, they're typing in there, they're no longer typing like therapy for anxiety. No. They're way more savvy than that. They're typing in therapy for people with panic attacks when they're at work. It's like really, really specific. So for their specificity to match what's on your site, you also have to be specific. And then we get this beautiful little match. So it's both on the get found and on the get picked side. Does that make sense? It's very important that it's like clicking because this is the foundation. Okay, I see lots of head nods. That makes me happy. All right. I'm getting way ahead of myself, but that's cool. Ding, ding, ding. This is a slide I was looking for earlier. So those of you who've been on the wait list for the paid event, your little scanny guy is right here, and Chantel drop in all the coupon codes and blah, blah, blah. But this is how I think about the free trainings. Like we covered this much up here. And then your free tool gets you this far. The things we cover, vision, boundaries, flow client. So we'll cover that on day 4. Copywriting, we cover that on day 4. SEO and AEO, we're talking about that today. Building relationships, I don't call it networking. We cover that today. Content marketing, we're covering that today. 90-day plan, that's day 5. So you'll expect that you'll get a little tippy top of every single one of those trainings. And then if you want to go deeper, that's in the course. Many of you will be able to DIY. Let me give you a quick example of how we might go deeper with something. Let's say boundaries. How many of you have decided that you are going to increase your rate, but you keep not having that conversation with your clients? Anybody? I just saw in a Facebook group yesterday, somebody typing like, I want to increase my rate by $10 with my clients in October. How does this sound? And they were just trying to get the language right, like $10 many months away, and we're stressing the heck out, right? Or how many of you have done a free consultation? First of all, how many of y'all are doing free consultations? Give me a yes or a no. And I'm not talking 10 minutes. I'm talking like 20-minute free consultation. Okay, good. Okay. It's your biggest, best marketing tool. I mean, that's like the conversion machine. This is how we get people to buy in to paying out of pocket. So if we need to talk more about that, we will. But you're in your free consultation and you're thinking, now, Andrea, you're in a different situation. So I totally get why you're doing what you're doing. Let's say that you're in the free consultation and you can tell this is not going to be a good fit, but they really like you. and you're having a hard time figuring out how to tell them that you are not going to be the person for them. Have you ever run into that situation? Let me know in the chat. Or where you are thinking like, this is perfect, I love this person, they love me. And you say your rate and you see their face fall. And you're like, oh shit. And then you're offering a sliding scale before they say a word, right? I think sometimes the reason we don't stick to our boundaries is not because we don't think the boundary is ethical or moral or kind, but we don't know how to deliver the boundary in a compassionate way. So we go deep into scripts about how you say things so that it can be heard lovingly and so that more people say yes. There are lessons on things like ending your sessions on time, holding boundaries around time, money, energy, because how many of you feel like, I totally have an extra 4 hours every week to work on my marketing? Yay or nay? You feel like you got 4 hours extra to work on your marketing every single week? If not, we need to rein some stuff in your life, because marketing, whether you do it with me or somebody else, is your path out of servitude. I'm gonna get very philosophical on y'all about this servitude business, okay? I have the time, but I don't do it. And that's usually because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, okay? How we set our fees based on good, better, best goals, which I learned from Megan Hale, so I gotta give her a shout out for that. And how we can take our clients I had a client who was paying, I don't know, I think it was like $40, and I was over full. And I needed to get my average reimbursement up, as we talked about last time. And I just felt so nauseous about telling her, like, I got to move your rate up, because I really knew that it was going to be a stretch for her. But I came up with a system to slowly move her rate up to the point where either she had time to find another therapist, we had time to close the most important goals, or she had time to rebudget and be able to keep up with the transition. So we have very specific plans to be able to do what you need to do for you without being callous or hurtful to anyone else. Does that make sense? Would it be helpful to you, like, if you had a way of saying something that maybe is a little bit uncomfortable? I'm the person, I'll tell you a cute, funny story. I had many times in my life, I have been the person who has had to say the hard thing to other people by vote. So working in settings where things like our boss, who I loved dearly, was accidentally peeing on the toilet seat every time this person went to the bathroom, and didn't know it. Didn't know he was doing it. And so I was the one that had to deliver this message to this person that I cared very much about, who had a lot of power over me, but I knew I could say it with compassion, and I knew I could say it in a way that was not going to be hurtful. And so I did. And now we didn't have pee on the seat after that. It was a win-win-win for everybody. And I think that their spouse probably was also grateful for me doing that little intervention. Okay, so let's keep going. I want to remind you, you will slide into panic about, can I get this rate? Can I get this rate? And I want to remind you that you're not selling widgets. You are not the person who's in the parking lot putting flyers on 10,000 cars to try to bring them into your car wash business. Like, we're not doing something scale. We only need a few clients every month. And you guys did the math in training too. So if you missed that, go back and watch it, because most people's numbers were around 1 to 4 max new clients every single month. And that is attainable. All right, so we've talked vision setting, we've talked boundaries, we talked a little bit about flow client, but I want to go deeper. Let's, just for fun, put in the chat what you think one of your flow clients is. So you might use ideal client or niche. Who is this person? I want to just see how close we are. Okay, healthcare workers experiencing trauma, PTSD, and moral injury due to systemic betrayal and not just burnout. Shev's been in the marketing intensive. That's very, very good. People with insomnia plus anxiety, postpartum mood and anxiety. Good. Okay, these are decent. CS says, is this program also applicable? Can you tailor to psychology testing practices? When you're in a super unique situation like that, I don't like to say yes or no on the fly because I want to think about it and give you true good advice. So I'm popping my email in the chat. Can you email me like your very specific situation, who your niche is, blah, 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 and then I'll give you an honest answer. People pleasers and those who struggle with boundary setting. Yes. Extroverted high, oh, who is this? Brittany. Extroverted high achiever who grew up in a chaotic household and is learning to release people-pleasing tendencies and learning about healthy relationships and loving herself. She's in tune with her feelings and is able to cry. Girl, yes, please. That is a kick-ass. That is a kick-ass flow client. Time out. I gotta shut my door. That's what I'm talking about. We have to get deeper than women with anxiety. We have to be able to speak to soul level, like you're writing a love letter, but don't be gross about it, to like your BFF, and you get that person inside and out. We need to know what brings them pain on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. and what they're laying in bed at night wishing their life could look like. Okay, I'm going to talk you through exactly how to get there on day 4 and in the course if you want to do it. So, Amber, you just cannot help your freaking self. I got to slip into copy for just a second. We're going to go deep on day 4. The reason that we need flow client to be super clear is it's the only way we write compelling copy. It's the only way. So if you said to me, I'm a little bit of a hyperachiever, I'm in recovery. But if you said to me, hey, I'm going to help you with your anxiety so that you can feel calm and relaxed, I'd be like, no, thank you. Because my anxiety is what drives my ability to achieve. And if I did not get anxious, I would sit on my butt and I would not do anything, right? So that copy has to be written differently, even though they're going to help me do that thing. They're going to help me be more relaxed. They have to write it differently to me, because if you write it like that, I'm not coming to therapy. My identity used to be so tied to achievement that even though anxiety was torturing me, I couldn't give up my identity to feel less anxiety, right? So we have to position things. We have to write really good copy that speaks directly to them. You guys are crushing it over here in the chat. I love it. What this means is the closer you guys already are to your flow client, the deeper we get to go in copywriting. So that's very exciting. Don't teach that yet, Amber. Don't teach that. All right. It's also super duper important. Flow client gives us our copy, but remember how I talked to you about how it also helps us to get found? SEO, AEO, we have to know the words that our clients are searching. Content marketing, so creating helpful stuff out loud for people. It's not helpful if it's not specific, right? All of the free tools that I've been giving you guys, have you noticed how freaking specific they are? Because I know my flow client, and that way I'm able to create content that's so helpful to you that some of you are going to be like, girl, if you're giving me this stuff for free, I don't even know what's behind door number 3 in your paid program. Okay. We also, it's helpful for us to figure out where they are. So as a anxious, neurotic, hyperachiever, I'm going to be in yoga classes because I'm trying to control my anxiety. And I'm probably, I don't like this realization that I just had. I'm probably going to be in hot yoga because I'm going to choose the path that's hardest because that is my nature. But now that you know that about me, you're able to pick some of these yoga studios where they do hot yoga or Bikram or whatever the hardest thing is. That's where your perfectionism is going to live. That's where you can get in touch and start doing content marketing. Okay. And the last one here is who. Who knows your ideal client? If your ideal client is somebody who is midlife and anxious, maybe they're seeing a psychiatrist, but maybe they're seeing their gynecologist or their functional med doctor to help them with HRT, right? So we get to know where they are, both online and in person, because we know who our person is. My person loves Reddit because they're intellectualizers. So they want to be on Reddit, ding, 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 like, let me learn stuff, let me do stuff. They're hyper users of AI because they're constantly wanting to learn and understand themselves better. The more you know, the better you're going to be able to fill those private pay spots. All right, I want to do a little emotional temperature check because I can feel my energy is like going fast. I want to see if I'm overwhelming you, if you're feeling like, good girl, I got it, let's keep going. Like, what's the temperature in the room? And I'll answer Joanne's question as you're weighing in. She says, how do you use Reddit to get clients? For those of you who don't know, Reddit is a place online where people go to have conversations about anything. Anything. You want to learn how to breed rabbits? There's a thread about breeding rabbits. There's probably threads about specific types of rabbits that you can breed. If you want to go learn about, I don't even know, like some celebrity and what happened with their ex-wife, you can go read threads about it. The point is that there's hyper specific threads there, and you can go there like I did. I did a Reddit AMA years and years ago. And I said, AMA is Ask Me Anything. I said, hello, my name is Amber. I'm a clinical psychologist. I specialize in treating complex trauma. Ask me anything. And I spent a few hours answering questions. And the lovely thing about Reddit is you do not need to be a guru. They don't like gurus. They like you to talk with some level of humility. So I was like, I don't know for sure, but this is what I think, or this is what this theory says, or this would be my interpretation, or what I would do. Y'all, Reddit has so much organic SEO and AEO that for years, I was getting calls from people wanting to become clients based on that content. And you know what's super cool is Reddit goes beyond your local freaking area. So it's a kick butt hack for AEO and SEO. Now, is it a full-on strategy? No, it's a findability hack. So you totally give a disclaimer that this is not therapy. And we have a mini course inside of the Marketing Intensive about how to do Reddit so that you don't get yourself in any trouble and you go smoothly. And Brittany says, do you recommend putting PT link on your own website to maximize SEO? No, it helps them a lot more than it helps you. You can, but it's really a backlink for them. So unless your therapy client thinks that Psychology Today is some super cool thing that it's giving you like expertise cred or something, it doesn't really do much for you. Okay. Anna says, I'm trying to come up with ways to get clear on who I like working with and am good at helping. Maybe record myself talking about successes, juicy sessions, any ideas? Heck yeah. Remind me of that question on day 4, because otherwise I'm gonna slide so sideways that we're not gonna get to what we have to get to today. So just so that you know, I know many of you are buying piecemeal products to try to market your practice. I got you. Copywriting is also inside the Marketing Intensive. I'm not going into the weeds here because we'll talk about it later. This is a screen that you want to grab a screenshot of. There are 3 steps to you getting found and picked by high-paying private pay clients. Just 3. Know your full client. You have to have at least one, but you can have as many as you want. How are you going to get found? And how are you going to get picked? The get picked strategies we're covering on day 4, get found, we're about to get into right now. This is so fun. All right, here are our strategies. Take a screenshot. We are gonna do baby SEO. We're gonna SEO hack. We're gonna do some AEO hacks. We're gonna build real relationships. We're not networking. And then we're gonna use content marketing in 2 ways. We'll get into it in just a minute. So let's talk first. What's this? Oh shit, yeah, I gotta do this. Sorry, I inserted this morning. I totally forgot all about it. Your freebie. Let me give you your freebie for today because we're gonna walk through it together. Chantel, if you'll drop that link and I will share my screen and walk you through it with me. This is me giving a reminder to myself to follow this darn link. If I knew me, I knew I was gonna forget. I'm going to give you just 1 minute to be able to download it yourself. You don't need to download it right this minute. I'm going to show it to you on the screen, but just in case you're somebody who likes to have it in front of you on your own computer, go ahead. Thank you so much, Chantel. I mentioned before we got started that I feel big feelings about the way that some of the companies are, in my opinion, abusing therapists and clients. And I've been feeling it grow over the last year. And the word that keeps coming up for me is like sovereignty and autonomy. I don't like my future dependent on somebody else's changing incentives, right? I don't like that shit. I want to be in control of my own future. Now, I don't mind borrowing from them a little bit. I just want to be totally dependent, right? So like, I will use a stepping stone if necessary, so long as it's not damaging my clients or damaging me. But ultimately, I don't want all of my, what's that saying? Something in a basket, all my eggs in somebody else's basket. So this is your Autonomy Action Plan. It's a brand new tool for you to stop guessing and start diagnosing and build a marketing system and a practice that you actually own. So I talked at the very beginning about how most of us have heard techniques to market, but we don't really have a marketing conceptualization. And I want you to think about it like this. It's very much like clinical work. In the clinical practice, we assess our clients first, right? Like we're doing a biopsychosocial assessment, or we do, an intake, right? So that we have an idea of like, what is the problem? The same thing is happening here today. We're diagnosing our marketing. We build a conceptualization of our client. And in marketing, we do the same. So a funny example I think of is like, if you had a client who had major depressive disorder, you're not going to throw a single technique at them. Like, yo, go out in the sun. Sun is good for depression. See you later. No, we do an intake. We understand all the contributing factors. And then we come up with a treatment plan for them that gets at all of the pieces of their depression. And the same is true here. So this is just me being trying to be funny, which is basically like, we don't throw a single technique at a client, and we shouldn't do that with our marketing either. So just so I have a clue in here, how many of you can pop it in the chat, feel like you know at least one flow client inside and out? Like you've got that on lock. Yes or no? Yes. Good. Excellent. Ooh, y'all, I love it. And no. How many of you have more than one? Okay, at least 3. Okay. All right, cool. How many of you feel like you've got your get found strategy on lock? You got it. People are getting to you. You're getting calls. They're coming through your website. They're coming through relationships. You're good to go. No, and no. Okay. How about get picked? So once they get to you, they're coming to therapy with you. The copy is on point. Your free consultations almost always turn into clients. Your clients stay with you for the duration of treatment. Okay. And this last part is convert and retain. I got ahead of myself. Get picked is what? Goodish. Okay. All right. Need some help. All right. And in terms of retention, so let me just ask this. Once they start with you, do they stay? Or are we having people drop off after the intake or drop off after therapy has started? Good at retention. Good. Okay, almost all. Excellent. So if you were to name your biggest challenge from here, flow client, get found, get picked, convert, and retain, what do you think the biggest challenge for you is? Get them and they stay. Okay, get found. Okay, get found, get picked, get found. Mostly get found so far. Okay, getting found. Awesome. All right, so let's do a little diagnostic here. Do you know how your new clients found you? Are you asking them? Do you know? Oh, I see a lot of yeses. Tell us how. Are they finding you through your website, a directory listing, a human? Don't know. I feel weird asking. That's a messaging problem. We can fix that. We can ask it in a way that's not weird. Okay, Psychology Today, Open Path, word of mouth mostly, LinkedIn. Okay, let me subdivide, okay? Are the clients that you're getting, So insurance is basically marketing for you. So if you're saying you know where they're coming from, can you tell me if it's insurance versus they're coming from my website? If they're coming through a directory, but they're using insurance, insurance is the answer. Okay, we got lots of no insurance. Okay. Now, do you know which of your marketing activities have actually produced clients? Was there somebody you connected with and they referred back to you? Was there a social media post that you put up and somebody's like, be my therapist? Is it a directory that got you private pay? Private pay. Okay. Do you know how many people visit your website every month? I see some yeses. No. Sorta. Nope. Under 50. Okay, trying to track and went cross-eyed. Okay, we don't love analytics. They're not that fun for us. Do you know which page on your website is getting the most traffic? Okay, I don't look often because it's low. Okay. Do you know, I'm going to skip this one because we covered it. Do you know where on your website people tend to drop off? Are they on the page for 5 seconds or on the page for a minute and a half? Okay, cool. Do you know which metrics for your website actually matter? Have you looked at your metrics and you know what means what? Okay. We got to fix that. Which marketing activities that you've given enough time to evaluate if they work or not? So if you're like me, in the beginning, I was just throwing some spaghetti. I was like, whatever feeling hit me was the thing that I did. You know, if I was like, I'm going to see my doctor, I'll talk to them about my practice, right? Or I'm on Facebook, I might as well go look in some groups and see if there's anybody in search of a therapist like me. Here, your biggest realization from this page is what so far? What's your biggest take home? Because we're narrowing down the things that you're going to do. I don't know what I don't know. Yes, I come up with a plan and don't stick to it. I don't know how to evaluate. I put most time into my website. There's a lot of work to do. That I need help. I'm clueless on marketing. Well, you're not clueless. You're already learning. You just learned a bunch of things that are things that you will eventually do. Okay. I'm gonna, we did this. I want you to keep this open on your computer because as we go through the rest of the presentation, you're going to be learning and you might be typing in here, okay? So keep it open. I want to ask a little bit around dependency. So I don't want to be dependent and I don't want you dependent either. So you know how when you have a whole bunch of extra money, you know how that is? And you're diversifying where you're keeping it, right? So in case the stock market goes bad, all you're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. In case the stock market goes bad, you've still got money over here, right? We diversify. So answer this. If this disappeared tomorrow, my practice would be in trouble. So just pop in the chat which of these are true for you. If this disappeared tomorrow, and by Google, I mean like the algorithm changed. If this disappeared tomorrow, I would be in trouble. And you may not know, because if you're not tracking where your referrals are coming from, it's okay. If you don't know, you can say, I don't know. Not sure. Insurance panels, Facebook, insurance panels. Can you read what's on the screen? Yes, Cindy, I can. Insurance panels, BetterHelp, Alma, Headway, Psychology Today, a single physician who gives you the most referrals, any single referral partner, Google algorithm, Facebook or Instagram, paid advertising, a marketing agency, any other marketing tactic that you rely on heavily. Okay. We're going to come back. I want you to fill this in about what does this give you currently? What does it cost you? Sort of like, you know, if you're working with people who are in domestic violence relationships, you're never like, that loser stinks, you should leave, right? I'm not going to do that to you either about an insurance company. But we do start to assess, like, what are the benefits of you being in a relationship with these people? Because there are going to be some. So are there some costs? Okay. So this is for your homework. You don't have to figure it out now, because I want to go back to our presentation. Okay. I do have strong opinions about the website. I just saw that pop up. So please ask me about that again in a little bit. But let me get us back on our, here we go. Our presentation. Oh my gosh, so many buttons. Share. All right. Think. Some of you already know you want to buy. I want to give you a little bit of a heads up, because an email is going out to people who've taken my course before with the coupon code to get a big discount. So I just want you to know, most of you are not ready to buy yet. That's totally fine. There's zero pressure from me. But those of you who've been on the wait list, or you already know that you want to buy, if you buy today, you get a free one-on-one coaching call with me. Those are $500. So if you know that you're going to buy, don't buy spontaneously. But if you already know that you want to buy, you might as well be one of the first to buy and get a free coaching call. This goes away at midnight tonight. So this is only available to people who buy before midnight. However, for anybody who buys in the next 48 hours, the biggest problem that I see happening for folks who have successfully marketed in my program is they feel guilty about leaving clients behind. So they stick with the insurance company or the platform or whatever for a long time, because they can't figure out how to do it in a way that's going to be morally aligned. So I built a whole mini course about exactly that. And it's what we call disappearing bonus. So in 48 hours, it goes away. But if you want to purchase within 48 hours, you get the course. If you purchase by midnight, you get the free coaching call, and you will get this free mini course. And it's, I have to say, pretty good. It includes scripts. It includes like a little Excel spreadsheet of how to increase your rates over time, blah, 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 blah. It's very cool. So I'm just giving you a heads up. If you're like, Amber, stop talking, give me the dang link. Here's the dang link. I'm going to change the screen in 3, 2, 1. All right. So we talked about dependency. I want to talk a little bit about the cost of some of the shortcuts that we're using, or we'll say stepping stones that we're using to get free and break out of the servitude of some of these companies. Before I go on like a whole thing about what the problems are, it would be helpful to me to know what you already know. So with insurance companies, what are the problems that you're seeing? With big tech, what are the problems that you're seeing? With platforms that are edging into secondary incomes, which I'll explain in just a moment, what are the problems that you're seeing? So I don't need to get deep in the weeds if you already know some stuff. Okay. Pause and let people answer. Whoa, I didn't know that. Julie said insurance can claw back in her state with 0 time limits. That's super scary. So it could be 10 years from now and they're like, hey, give me that 12 G's back. I did not know that. That makes my heart race. What if you don't have the 12 G's? What if you used it like most people would? Insurance, some have very low reimbursement. The admin hassles, yes. Likely limiting out-of-country providers soon, yes. So think about this. Other than our federal, Medicaid and Medicare, all insurance is a profit-making system. They're designed to make a profit. So the way that that's going to play out is that they want you to pay in, like I pay into my healthcare, and hopefully I don't need to use it. And they don't have to give me any of that money back in my benefits, right? It does not serve them for everybody to use all of their benefits. So what we saw happen during the pandemic is a whole bunch of people started using therapy. Like therapy went through the roof with utilization. And at the time, insurance had to cover it or the government was going to freak out on them, right? So all of a sudden, everybody's covering telehealth. There's looser restrictions on how long you can see people and for lesser diagnoses and blah, blah, blah. The pandemic sort of passes. And all of a sudden, we see insurance making it harder to get reimbursed because they're like, oh, we got to make up some of that cash flow. So they started pulling things like, this person that's been telehealth with you for 2 years, you have to see them in person once every 6 months in order to continue working with them, or BS like that, or your reimbursements started going down, right? So the other thing, and I looked this up, and it's all ugly on my screen because I just wanted to remind myself to say it. Insurance companies, because they need to make money to stay ahead and, pay their people at the top a whole bunch of cash, they need to profit as much as possible from a system that really was supposed to be helping us to stay well and to get well when we're sick. But the incentive is no longer help the people to stay well and get well. The incentive is create as much profit as possible. And they are trying to double dip in how they make profit. So they are aggressively acquiring AI tools. And these AI tools, some of them are, going to be looking at our notes and deciding whether or not we should get paid for that session. Okay, so people are going to lose their jobs who had previously done that. But even more, some of these companies are, let me just be very careful about how I say this. Let me see if I don't want to get in trouble. But some of them are building AI therapy-like assistants and moving people towards AI support rather than a therapist support, because AI support is cheaper by a lot. So how would that be for you if your client goes to the insurance company, they've already met with you in the free consult, you already know it's good fix, they go to their insurance company and the insurance company is like, for this adjustment disorder, I really think that if you just talk to this bot and do some of this training on like resiliency, be good to go. So do that first before you can go see a therapist, and then prove to us that that didn't work before we're going to pay for your sessions with the therapist. That's freaky. That's some freaky-ish, right? Brittany made a great point. Change is being made without your knowledge. Like, how many emails do we get about our privacy practices have changed with XYZ company? And then we actually look at it. Not very many. We're also seeing that some of these platforms and big tech companies are, the way that they've kind of S-corped or LLC'd themselves with the government is as not a healthcare company. So they are not bound by the same regulations that we are bound by. So they behave in ways that are against our codes of ethics or against the statutes that regulate our practice. For example, asking our clients for testimonials and then putting those testimonials with names on the website, right? Or listening in on therapy sessions to train their AI bots to do therapy-like with their consumers. I mean, it's sliding. It's sliding in a scary way. And some of these companies, and you can search this for yourself on the internet, just look up the company lawsuit, and you'll see that some of them have already been fined millions and millions of dollars for illegally sharing client data with marketers. So TikTok, Facebook, all of these companies who make a lot of money by having data about you, giving that data to them from clients. That's some shady-ish. I do not like it. I don't like it for our clients, but I also don't like it for us, because those those non-healthcare companies are not governed by HIPAA. So who's going to get in trouble? It's us. HIPAA can't do anything about those companies. Now, the Federal Trade Commission is trying to get involved, and they have already fined some of these companies a whole bunch of money. But we're in a weird time, my friends. We're in a weird, weird time. So I hope you're hearing some of that and reading the chat and thinking, okay, fine, I'll get my own clients. Like, I'm not trying to put myself at risk and put my clients at risk. And if you thought that, you might have also thought, okay, cool. So I know I need SEO. I'm going to hire somebody to do SEO. I know I need good copy. I'm going to hire somebody to do good copy. I know that I don't want to do social media. I'm going to hire somebody to do my social media. I know I don't want to be messing around with building a website. I'm going to hire a website designer. Let me know what you've hired out for. I don't want to know the actual people, but I want to know what you've hired out for already, if you've hired out for anything. And as we're talking this through, you're going to learn what doesn't work and what does work. Okay? So if you've hired out for anything, what have you hired out for? Oh, and I have a private message from Annika. I think it went sideways for me. So Chantel, if you could reply to Annika with the link again and the secret word for our free tool. Okay. Ooh, so many comments. Let me get down here. Considering using a website designer, logo, hired somebody to make my worksheet editable. Oh, so many thoughts about that. Considering using a website designer in order to focus on AEO. Okay. Let's talk. All right, let's talk website designer first. Of the websites that you could design, I prefer Squarespace over the others. WordPress is a big pain in the patootie and requires frequent updates that I hate to do. I prefer Squarespace because it's pretty and it's easier. Are any of them easy? No, but it's easier. Wix is the easiest, okay? And leave it there. And it performs okay, but not as well as Squarespace. There's not a big enough difference to change. If you're already on Wix, stay on Wix, okay? When it comes to hiring somebody to do your website, let me talk to your faces. I have lots of thoughts. What most of us don't know is that when we hire somebody to do our website, they do one thing. They make it pretty, okay? Usually they're gonna give you a bunch of worksheets for you to write all the copy. They'll give you prompts. You end up writing all the copy. And they'll say, yes, it's SEO friendly or it's AEO friendly. But these are graphic designers. They are not AEO or SEO experts. So what it means when they say it's SEO friendly or AEO friendly, but I have not seen those perform great with SEO or AEO. So the conversion part of it looks great. Chef's kiss, big fan. But we don't need to pay $5,000 for our website to look nice. I strongly recommend that if you don't have a website yet, you get Squarespace, pay for your own little domain, own it yourself, it's cheap, and then I would buy a template. So in the course, I have a bunch of discounts for Anna Walker's templates. Her templates are beautiful, but there are a lot of people who do templates. Letitia does templates. Letitia Ellis, if you're here, you can drop your links in as well. I would get a template, and I would really recommend. There's so many people are going to be mad at me. It's so nerve-wracking that this goes on YouTube later. I would really recommend that you do not go with a company who takes care of it for you, your SEO over time. Because what's going to happen is you get cheap in the beginning, right? So they'll be like, oh, for $100, we'll build your website and then just pay us whatever every single month for forever and ever. They own your website. So if you ever leave them, you leave all your SEO behind and you have to start all the way over. They'll be like, yeah, we'll give you your copy. We'll give you your graphics. Okay, great. But it's the SEO that's valuable. So I don't recommend that. And from what I see, most of them are charging you to do SEO, but they're really not doing it in a way that works for therapists or a way that works for online therapists. So that's not my favorite path to go down. Okay. So I hope that's just my opinion, but it's my informed opinion. So, take it, leave it, but I feel it strongly. Get back here. So I paid $5,000 for my website. I had no idea that I was going to be writing all the copy myself. I didn't know that I was going to have to find a lot of the graphics myself. And I did not know that it was not going to be SEO or AEO a fad. Okay. So take my loss and make that a win for you. Social media. You guys don't need to be on social media regularly. Social media you can think of not as a findability strategy or a pickability strategy. It is an SEO hack. That's it. So my recommendation is that you have one platform that you exist on, and I recommend either LinkedIn, if that's kind of more your peeps, or Facebook business page. And then you make 20 posts and leave it the hell alone. That's all you need to do. Don't come back to it. Don't hire somebody to mess with it unless you love doing it, and then do it for fun. But all that's going to be used for is to legitimize your business in two ways. The SEO and AEO gods are looking for you to exist lightly across a lot of places. So they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, they have a website. She's on this directory. And also she has a Facebook business page. Okay, must be legit. That's it. Your clients are almost never going to find you through social media. Even if they are followers on your page, they see less than 1% of your posts. Less than 1%. That is nutso, right? So all it really does for potential clients is they're going to Google stalk you. They see your website and they're like, oh, I think I like them. Let me Google them a little bit and see if there's anything cray-cray out there on the internet. They're going to see your Facebook business page and be like, looks legit, and then pick you. Well, that's it. That's all we're using it for. So you do not need to pay somebody to do that for you. And if you're in the course, is this true? Am I lying? I tell you what needs to be on your social media. Later, there's going to be a bonus of your social media mostly done for you. So if you buy now, you'll get that bonus. Hiring a copywriter. In many industries, this is a great move, okay? Because most of us are therapists, not writers. We're not great at writing. And even if we're good at writing, we're not good at writing sales pages, which is really what your specialty page is. But we can't hire it out because what's the most important part about that page? It's about how deeply you know that client. Nobody knows your client the way that you do. So how's a copywriter going to do that? They can't. They also don't know you and your method and how you, yes, 20 posts, and how you think about helping people. Who can write that? It's you. It's just you. Now, it doesn't have to sound good. All you're going to have to know, and we'll go over it on day 4, is the kind of stuff that needs to be on there. And then I have built a bot that will zhuzh it up so that it sounds readable. Okay. It's still got to be you. It can't be AI generated, but we can make it sound good with my little AI bot. Okay. Yes. Oh, great question, Laura. She says, should my social media accounts be under my name or my practice's name? Under your name. But even better, if you say your name and your practice, like Laura Jacobs, mindfulness Maven's practice, like whatever it is, if you can have both fit in there, do both. So hard not to tell you all the things. If your website URL is like mindfulmavenscounseling.com, we want to also make sure that we have a domain name in your name that points to your website, because most of your clients and referral partners are not going to remember your cute practice name. They are going to remember your name, Laura Gonzalez, right? So we want to have a domain that points to your website, just a little URL, they're super cheap, so that anybody who's searching your name will end up on your website. And we can talk more about that in a coaching call. Now let's talk SEO. SEO, how can I explain it? I'll take it frame by frame it. SEO, as I've alluded to, nobody laughed at that. Really? Come on, that was funny. So SEO for most companies works well if you're in a local area. Thank you, Karen. Because let me see if I can explain this really easily. If you try to rank, the way SEO works is it ranks people in order, right? You know how people are like, get on the first page, right? It's ranking you. So if you're trying to compete for therapy for women with anxiety, and you are competing with the whole of the United States, you don't have enough money or enough time to win at that. You're not even going to be on page 10, right? It's not happening. So we have to narrow down who you're competing against. So the way that SEO companies do this is they rank you for a city. So they'll be like Belmington, Connecticut, therapy for women with anxiety, mid-40s. You know, like they want to get it as narrow as possible so you're competing with fewer people and you have a chance to win. Now, what we're going to do is make sure that we can be found in local areas, but we're going to pick the areas. And we're going to pick the areas based on socioeconomic status of that area to make sure they can pay our rates, and demographic fit. So for example, if I specialize in working with people in their 40s, and I know that Naples, Florida has really high socioeconomic status, but I do a demographic search and most people there are 65 plus, that's not the city that I'm going to try to win at SEO with. That wouldn't make any sense, right? But we also don't just want to be found in local areas. We want to be found more broadly than that. So we're going to use content marketing in order to overcome that little obstacle that most of us face with SEO. I'll talk about content marketing in a second. But content marketing is bigger than local, okay? Okay, I'm not looking at that. We're going to focus. So now you've heard a lot of things that don't work, which should be telling you some of the things that does. I want to highlight this little part here because many of you have gorgeous websites and some of it, the copy is like on point. You're already nailing the copy. But if nobody's getting to the website, it can't convert anybody. It's just a billboard in the woods, and it's a really pretty billboard in the woods, but it's still in the woods. Nobody's finding it. So the gap for many of you is the get found gap. All right. Is this important? No, I'm going to keep moving. How many of you are feeling a tiny bit overwhelmed right now? Let me know if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it can feel like a lot. A little bit, also hopeful. Good. Okay. So there are some important concepts that I want you to hear. I teach this throughout the entire intensive. What we want to do is the minimum marketing necessary. We do not want to do all of the freaking things. And if you're like me, that's your tendency. So we're going to rein that in. We're going to think about what's the minimum that I need to do in each of these areas. That's why I call it baby SEO, not SEO, because we're not doing full-on SEO. We're doing what we have to do for it to work, okay? We're also going to think about low-hanging fruit. So when we're talking about relationships in a little while, I don't want you thinking like, oh man, I got to start cold calling people, right? Because maybe you do not. Most of you will not have to. Most of you will be able to reach out to people who are connected by 3 degrees of separation at most. Okay? Low-hanging fruit. What's a little bit easier for us to do? And then Pareto's principle, which is the 80-20 rule. What's the 20% of the work that I can do that will get me 80% of the benefit? So one of the questions I get asked a lot is like, would it be helpful if I don't know, like took a better picture for my About Me page, right? And all the pictures are good. So like, I mean, yeah, sure, it'll help a little bit, but it's not a needle mover, right? It's not an 80-20. So now you're going to go pay to get these pictures done. It's going to take a whole bunch of time when you could have actually been doing something that would move the needle. So we come back to that a lot. And I think part of the reason that I come back to it is because my nature tends to be a little bit too inclusive, doing all the things. So I remind myself and you often that's not what we're trying to do. So again, these are our get found principles. Let's start talking about each one. Oh, that's our get picked. We do that next time. Yes, Amber, we've already discussed that. Oh, wait, oh no, I meant to do this. This is gonna make you feel a little bit more hopeful, okay? So this is from somebody who did the course, but I've got these from people who did the free training series too. So if you're gonna DIY, don't feel like this doesn't apply to you. Thank you so much for such an amazing course. I've still only done rate increases, copy, website zhuzhing up, SEO, and a piece of long form content. And I gained 6 new full rate clients in the last 2 months. And this is my favorite part about what she says, that I teach you guys what to do, and then you get to turn it into like a coloring book. So you add your own flair, you know, like, oh, I hate doing SEO. Okay, cool. We're going to do the bare minimum for you, but you love doing relationship marketing. Cool. We'll do a lot of that. So we can kind of titrate based on your interests. All right, this is definitely one you're going to want to screenshot of. So let's talk SEO. SEO, there are 3 big things that you need to do, and you can take action on these today, my friends. On every single page of your website, now hold this in mind, every page of your website ranks for specific keywords. So it's not the website as a whole, like, oh, my website has great SEO. Every page ranks separately. So every page should be ranking for something different. We don't want to cannibalize our own pages. So the big 3, on every page, we want a single header. That header better include words that your ideal client, your flow client, is typing into AI search or Google search, okay? One header, as many subheaders as you want. On the back side of your website, when you put these in, they're often called H1 and H2. So you do one H1, lots of H2s. They just break up the text, make it more readable. And we want to include words that our ideal client would be searching for. So to give you an example, and we'll get deeper into this in copywriting, my person might write something like, why am I always overthinking, especially at night? So I might have a subheader or header 2 lower on the page that says, why you're always laying in bed at night overthinking, like whatever the language is that they're using. Okay. So header 1s, lots of header 2s, all with language that they're going to be using. And I'll show you how to research what language they use in the course. There are lots of tools that you can use to do this for free. Don't pay for a tool, y'all. And then there's something called alt text. Alt text is the description we give of the photos that are on our website. So on the back end, for it to be accessible for people who have like visual impairment, they use screen readers to hear what we're seeing on the page. So you're going to use that section to describe what that photo is. And please remember that accessibility is the primary purpose of alt text. It's alternative text, but it also is useful for AEO and SEO. So if I had a picture on my website of, and I have a therapy website of somebody like deep in thought, right? I might say a woman in her mid 40s in Santa Fe, New Mexico, worrying about blah, 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 things that my clients would say, and wishing she could start feeling blah, 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 things that my clients might say. Okay? So this tells a person reading or hearing what your site is about, and it tells AI and SEO what your site is about. So more people will land there who are using those words. Okay? That's the major thing. Are there more things? Yes, but those are the major ones. We're also going to shortcut or hack some SEO things. So I already gave you one, which is your Facebook business page. That's a little baby SEO hack. Gave you another, which is Zen Care or Psychology Today. Little SEO hack. We're catching their SEO cooties, and then it's getting associated with our name and our practice. But Google My Business, owned by Google, has mad SEO. You need to have a Google My Business profile, or Google Business Profile is the new name. Okay? And if you're having issues getting it set up because you have a virtual practice and you don't have a physical address, talk to me about it in the coaching call. We can see if we can do some workarounds. Reddit, we've already mentioned, mad SEO. Do an AMA, got your name associated with a lot of SEO. YouTube, mad SEO, because YouTube is owned by Google. YouTube is owned by Google. So you don't have to chase any algorithms on YouTube if you decide to make a couple videos for your favorite clients about diaphragmatic breathing that you know that they're going to use in between sessions. We're not trying to win any algorithms. We're not trying to SEO hack the name, blah, blah, blah. We're not trying to get engagement. It's just existing there, associated with your name and your practice. That's it. Now, super important, if you take nothing else from today's lesson, a really bad thing has happened to a lot of therapists. They spend a lot of time and money on their website. Looks great, copy's great. Nobody's landing there, like almost nobody. And it is because something that typically happens automatically didn't happen, which is called indexing and mapping. Write this down. Google Search Console. Google Search Console. It's a free tool. You pop in the URL to your website, and it'll tell you if your site has been mapped, meaning Google's looked at it and figured out everything that's on it so that they know how to map people to your site, okay? And that each page you want anybody to see has been indexed. This is Google going through each page and being like, what's this page about? Okay, cool, I know who to put this in front of. If those two things have not happened, your site is not being seen. It is invisible. So check those two things. And if you need help, we go over it in the course. AEO, this is a brand new slide. AEO is our freaking friend because it's way easier for independent private practice therapists to be found on AEO than it is to be found with SEO. Why? AEO matches, it doesn't rank. So remember how Google's like just an endless list of possibilities that you then have to sort through. AEO, when somebody goes in and says, geez, I need a therapist. I'm in Connecticut and I am having seasonal affective disorder. My kids are driving me freaking crazy, you know, blah, 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 blah. It searches, it eliminates a bunch of people. I'll tell you why in a sec. And it gives 3 to 5 recommendations. And it tells you why those people are a good match for you. I have a lot to say about this. We covered in depth in the course, but people trust AI search more than they trust Google. 85% of Americans say that they would be comfortable or have already searched for healthcare providers on AI. Right, crazy. So we need to first start by not having you eliminated, okay? So what does that mean? We need to have that you are licensed, write this down, that you are licensed. It needs to be on the top third of your page. Earlier is better. We need to have the states that you can practice in. I know it's annoying and it's going to look stupid, but you need every state that you can practice in. If there's more than one, even if it's site hacked, you still have to list them. AI is smart. It's not that smart. It does not like to guess. Okay. And then AI companies don't want to get sued for recommending a non-licensed person, right? So they need to see that you're licensed. They also need to see who you help. And here's what's crazy. They also want to see who you don't help. So if you don't see people in crisis, you need to write that. We can talk about how you can message it nicely so it doesn't sound mean. But they want to see that you have a scope of practice, that I see people who are like this. I'm not the right fit for people who are like this. And if you don't have that, it's not going to recommend you. I said that a little strongly. It's less likely to recommend you. Okay. So let me make sure I'm covering. Okay, great. Now, a second cool part is that if you're doing your baby SEO, baby AEO likes that. So it's a 2-for-1, and we love a 2-for-1. So if we do the headers, header 2s, alt text, baby AEO is like, okay, cool, I know what this page is about. Okay. Is there anything else there? Okay, one last thing I'll say about this is one of the reasons that it does so well, why we do so well with AEO is because we can be hyper specific in ways that big tech companies can't. So they're like, provide service for all these different people. AI doesn't like that. It's like, well, I don't know who you don't help. Like, what's your specialty, yo? You've got 20 million things here, but we can have specialties. It likes it. Let's talk about relationships. Let me do something real quick here because I want to see how far I am into the deck. We don't have 103 slides. Don't get scared. Or 101. I just left a bunch in there that we're not using. All right, let's talk relationships. So remember, these are actual relationships. This is our next findability strategy. Have you noticed how bad other therapists are about referring to you? Especially if you're private pay. Because if they see a private pay client, they're like, I'm gonna keep that client, right? They're not awesome about referring on. So we wanna look for complementary partners. So if you do couples work, individual therapists might be a good fit for you to get connected to. But let's think outside of just the therapist box. If I am working with midlife women, damn well, I'm going to be hooking up with gynecologists, functional med doctors, endocrinologists, anybody who's going to help with that phase of life and all of the transitions that happen during that phase of life. They're more likely to refer to me than my fellow therapists. Okay. There's so much I want to teach you here. The second piece, we're never selling. We're never selling in these relationships. We're never like, hey, I need people for my practice. Will you send people my way? Or I'll send people to you. If you send people to me, that's gross. That's quid pro quo. Nobody likes that. So instead, we provide support. What I mean by that is I might make a call to a functional med doctor. And I might say, listen, I see a lot of clients, or I plan to see a lot of clients who are struggling with anxiety that seems to potentially be connected to hormones, but also a life of growing up as a high performer and, parents' love that was only connected to their achievement. I'm wondering if those are the sort of people you see in your practice, and if you might be a good referral source for me to send people to. Okay. Do you see how it's positioned as, I'm looking for people I feel safe referring my clients to? Is that you? Most people want referrals, and they're going to take a call to find out if you're a good fit for them. Okay. So we're offering service. We're not asking for anything. The next piece here is like a super hack, just providing premium level collaborative care. So if I'm seeing clients, when I was seeing a lot of clients, I did not have time to do the kind of collaborative care that I really wanted to. I didn't have time to harass their psychiatrist to tell me about the med change and what made them do that. My client doesn't remember. Like, I just didn't have the time to make those calls and to do the follow-up. But when I could see fewer clients, I had time. So I could call or fax or whatever somebody else who's taking care of them and collaborate on their care. I have talked to yoga studios about, do they do trauma-informed care? Because I want to refer people there. I've talked to holistic healers. I've talked to acupuncturists. I've talked to chiropractors. I mean, whomever, medical marijuana doctors, like whoever it is that I think can support my clients or who's already supporting my clients, I want to be in conversation with. Now, I'm not telling them my client's business, but I am seeking information like, hey, like, I know how to treat the psychological side of this. I need to know, is there a thyroid issue happening or some other kind of medical issue happening that could be making it harder for them to recover through psychotherapy? So I'm just doing the stuff that we were trained to do, but now I have time to do it. And when you have providers that are having that conversation with you, they are so impressed that you are taking the time to do that, that they're thinking, holy crap, I need to refer some more people their way, right? Let's collaborate some more. Okay. I know that there are some yeah buts happening in the chat. I'll get to them. Here's the yeah but. If you reach out to 10 to 12 providers, expect to hear back from one. It is a numbers game. Just like you have been too busy to be doing collaborative care, many of them are also too busy. Okay. So if you've reached out and people flaked on you or canceled or never called back, that's par for the course. Expect 1 in 10 to 1 in 12 to respond. Okay. Now, this part's a little bit sickening, but I'm going to tell you so you don't take it personally if this happens. It typically in sales takes 5 to 7 touch points to have built enough of a relationship and to have earned enough trust for people to refer to you consistently. Okay? 5 to 7. That means we have to follow up with people. I'm going to give you a cheat to following up with them so it doesn't feel like you're being intrusive and annoying. I'll give you a cheat. It's called content marketing. We'll talk about it in a second. But what this means is we only need 3 to 5 at the most, great referral sources before we're over full and we get to coast. So it's obnoxious. I'm not going to lie. It's obnoxious to reach out and to not get responses, but it is going to happen and it's not good. Okay. Are we ready to talk about content marketing? How are we doing? Let's do a little check. A little checkity check. Define premium. It's totally up to you. I think like 300, 400, 500 is premium. Okay. You guys are asking like, can we basically hide some of the AEO stuff? I just wouldn't. I know it's annoying, but I wouldn't hide it. Yeah. Not because I know for a fact that it won't work, but I worry that it won't work. All right, so let's talk about content marketing. How many of you have ever created a worksheet for a client or drew something on a page to be like, this is how panic attacks work, right? You're already a content marketer. That's all it is. It's just being helpful, but we're doing it out loud outside of the therapy room. And we can do that online through videos or blogs or like little infographics if you're creative and you like to play in Canva. And we can do it in person. In person might be through doing a lunch and learn and like doing a little educational talk on why they keep referring their clients to therapists, but their clients never actually follow through, right? It's because you're talking about it wrong, my friend. Let me tell you how to talk to them about it that will actually make them follow through. It could be going to a PTA meeting and talking to the PTA group about symptoms to recognize, signs to recognize when a kid is starting to show symptoms of blah, 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 blah. It can be any educational, anything. The way that I like to work it is as an excuse to get back in touch with a potential referral relationship. So picture this. I'm on the phone, I'm talking with somebody, and they're talking about, who they like to serve. And I'm going to find something in what they say that I can feel excited about. Like, oh, well, what do you do with somebody who, you told them to get medical marijuana, but now they're smoking all day, every day? Like, what do you do with that person? Tell me about it. I'm interested, right? And then we're talking, and that's going to lead me to saying like, oh man, I love it when my clients blah, 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 blah. Like we're sharing information, right? We're sharing our passion. When you share your passion, you get referrals. So we're chatting it up, but I'm listening for anything that I might be able to create for their clients or for them or for their staff that could be helpful. And then let's say 4 weeks go by and I get back in touch and I say, hey, I remembered what you said about that staff person who is causing drama at the front desk. And I was wondering if it would be helpful for you for me to do like a little 10-minute talk at a lunch and learn about how to give and receive feedback helpfully. I am just getting back front of mind. I'm just listening for ways to help, kind of like you do in your profession. I'm listening for ways to help. Or they might say, yeah, my kid's got that soccer practice, blah, blah, blah. It's encroaching in dinner on every Wednesday night, but the season comes to a close, on this date. You're just, hey, Rachel, you're just having a conversation. And maybe on that date, if it was a close enough of a connection, you text them and you're like, hey, freedom rings, soccer season's over. Hope you have big plans that are fun for the summer. That's it. We're not saying like, I need clients, right? We're just being humans in a relationship. You will only do this ultimately with 3 to 5 people. People will fall off and we're not going to pursue them like, I can't think of a good name for it. We're not going to pursue them like prey. We're just going to look for opportunities for genuine connection. Okay, I've got about 10,000 examples I could give you, but I'm going to keep on trucking. We did this already. All right. Are you ready, my friends, to have more sovereignty in your life? I freaking love this word right now. Like out of feeling dependent on others. And for me, I always feel like I'm on shaky footing. Like, I don't know, something's going to change and then it's going to screw up my whole friggin' life because XYZ changed. I do not like that feeling. This is a quote that I found that I really liked. There comes a time in human evolution when a human, it said woman, I changed it to human, gets tired of asking permission to live, to breathe, to be, and to love in the most honest and true way. She writes her own permission slip and doesn't look back. Whether you learn how to market with me or with somebody else, learning how to get clients yourself gives you sovereignty in your practice. And good marketing, like what I'm teaching you, this works when you're trying to sell anything, whether it's therapy or whether it's therapeutic digital downloads. Like this is the framework that works for selling anything. And I want to follow that with something I was thinking about this morning, which is when we connect ourselves to systems who develop unaligned incentives, and those two things collide, we lose. And so do our clients. So be careful, be aware. I have a podcast episode that I released years ago about if you're currently working with one of these folks, how you can cover your butt ethically and legally while you're extricating yourself. So you can just Google it. Chantal might have it handy, but it's how to work with them, short or long term, in a way that adapts your paperwork, adapts your policies, etc., so that you're not in trouble in a dangerous way. I would also keep your freaking electronic health records separate from these companies if at all possible. Okay, so we have to be dialed in on our flow client. In order for marketing to work, numero uno, we have to have a clear findability strategy, baby SEO, AEO, relationships, and then warm everybody up with some content marketing. Okay? And then once they find us, they have to pick us. So we cannot have like a 1980s website. Has to be relatively okay looking. It doesn't have to be great looking, but okay looking. But we have to have great copy. And we have to have a reasonably good picture of you. And I don't mean a glamour shot. I mean the face that they see when they're sitting across the room from you. How you want that picture to make them feel how you want them to feel when they're sitting across the room from you. So to give you a little bit of hope, because I know it can start to feel like, oh, can I really do this? You guys, statistically, you are very rare. I just want to point this out to you. If you're afraid that private pay is saturated, no, my friend. Hardly anybody is doing it, much less learning how to do it correctly. I have an email list. I think it's like 14-ish thousand, 14 to 16,000. We had 550 people out of, let's call it 15,000. 15,000 people, only 550 therapists signed up for this. And only about 100 of those are showing up live. This puts you in a teeny little percentage that I figured out earlier, but I can't remember now. It was like under 1%, right? So if you're thinking, I don't know, man, everybody's trying to do this, they're not. They're listing themselves on a directory listing. That's it. And they're saying, why aren't I getting private pay clients? You have made the time to show up for yourselves. And that puts you in a very different category of people. So here's some hope promotion. Claudia, I got my very first full rate cash client today, and they're starting tomorrow afternoon. I'm on cloud 9. Marie, I just got my first client for my new rate. They're also a therapist. Now my 4th as a client. Maybe this is somewhat of a niche. Yes, baby. Magenta, I had 2 wins yesterday and wanted to share. I also wanted to share, I love this part. I want to also say I've seen other people share wins here, read them, and thought about how awesome they are, and simultaneously how much I must suck at this. So this is just a shout out to anyone who's feeling that when I share. I had a discussion with a returning client about my fee increase from $150 to $225 yesterday and got absolutely no pushback. Then I had a new video, free consultation booked from my website that went a little long, but ended in scheduling with my new increased rate, $340 for the assessment, $225 for sessions thereafter. What? I used and practiced my scripts. It blew me away and brought up my confidence. Yay, we can do this shit. Now, I'm going to ask your permission. May I please talk a little bit about the course, the paid course? Are you down to hear a little? I see head nods, thank you, because that would have been super awkward if everybody said no. So thank you for that. I am going to continue to teach as I'm showing it to you, because I think it's helpful and it's going to keep you engaged. And if you're going to DIY, it's going to be helpful for you too, in addition to people who are thinking that they want to purchase. So first, let me give you the coupon codes to get the discounts. And the discounts are big, big discounts. I'm going to show you them in a minute. If you're going to do our standard package, which is 12 weeks of training and implementation, all guided, you can get a big ass discount by typing in new vibes. If you want to level it up and get all of that plus one-on-one support, you're going to type in new vibes VIP. But I'm going to show you something real annoying. When you get to the checkout page, there's a stupid little button that we cannot get rid of. And it will not apply your coupon unless you check this dumb little checkbox, which will not be dark blue. It will be a tiny little, hardly capable of seeing thing, and we can do nothing about it. So make sure you check that box, because it's extra work on the back end for us to refund you, get your change back, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I've got so many testimonials. That's not what y'all want to see right now. Let me get you to where I want you to be. There you go here. Okay. Scrolled so long. Let's talk about the course. You've been learning a lot. There is a lot still that you're going to learn in the free program, okay? Our whole goal is for you to get private pay clients, earning more, working less. I want you to pay attention. This is a header 1. Because I know what y'all are searching for. This is a header 2. Without stress about clawbacks, audits, profit splits, tech company ethics, or slimy, gross marketing. We do ethical marketing here only, okay? Header 2, because I know what you guys are searching for. This is a 12-week guided experience. This is not you going to watch videos by yourself. Every Tuesday we meet, and either we'll watch my previous training live and I'm in the comments answering questions like a maniac, or I will be teaching live. Depends on the lesson, because I've upgraded a few of the lessons this time around, okay? Then on Thursday, we're gonna meet live again for 2 hours, and I will answer your questions for 2 hours. Here's why we do that. You're learning on Tuesday. You're implementing on Thursday. This is not a watch it and don't ever do it situation. We're getting shit done together. Now, it is a 12-week program, but over 4 months, because you need to rest. So we meet the first 3 weeks of every month, and then you have the 4th week off to either like catch up or chill or whatever you want to do. If it's a month with 5 weeks, you have the 5th week off as well. Okay, so 12 weeks over 4 months. Let's get into the details. This is all just a lovely sales copy, but we've already talked about it a lot. So I'm not going to go through all of those little itty bitty details, but I do want to point out something for you. This is called price anchoring. So the idea is the price is going to sound like a lot to you if I just throw the price up. So I want to compare it against some other things so that you see that the return on investment is there when we get to the number. You with me? So when we're thinking about insurance, remember that $60 an hour raise that we talked about, and how if you replace 20 clients, 60 bucks an hour, look at what we're doing here. Big ass raise in 1 year. That's just the raise. That's not actually your amount of income. That's on top of your income. Or if you're in a group practice, I don't think many of you are. Let me know if you're in a group practice. Most of you are giving up 30 to 40% of your profits, which is around $38,000 a year. So very quickly, we can see what a huge difference it makes, right? I don't want you to be concerned if you've tried marketing before and it didn't work. If what you're noticing as you're learning the framework is you were just using one technique, but you didn't have a whole framework. I don't want that to be evidence for you that it doesn't work. I'm hoping you're seeing that the system works. I'm going to move through this stuff, move through this stuff. Okay. When you do this, you're not going to have to hire somebody to do your social media. It's included how to do it. You're not going to hire somebody to do your SEO or hire somebody to do your copy. We do it all together. You do not need to pay for ads because we're going to get clients for free. The only thing that's not included is your website. And I do have a discount code for, I think I have one for Letitia, and I know I have one for Anna, so that you can grab a website if you don't already have one quickly. But I will go through and help create the copy with you. We do all of the critical components of marketing together. You can look at this slowly if you would like to. I just want to get you to the important parts. This isn't about going hard in all of the things. We're doing minimum marketing necessary because it's a lot, right? I'm not going to say it's easy, but we're going to make it easeful, and it's freaking worth it because it costs us a lot, these partnerships with people that aren't benefiting us. So we've already talked about SEO overkill. We've already talked about it will only rank you locally. We've talked about the problem with copywriting. Oh, we've covered a lot. Good for us. Okay, we've talked about this. This is when I was leaving my job and I found like, holy heck, for very little work, I can make the exact same amount of money that I was making in my full-time job in half the hours. And I did it with integrity, right? It didn't feel anything gross. Blah, blah, that's me, you know me. Here are the details. 12 weeks together over 4 months. Learning on Tuesdays for 50 minutes so you have time to go pee, because we have boundaries before you see your next client. Thursdays, we do the actual work together. You're going to have a roadmap of what to do and when so that you know you've done enough. Any mindset issues we work through together on Thursday. If you're somebody who's like, girl, I'm not talking in a group, VIP it up, and then we can talk together one-on-one in a little walkie-talkie app that we have so that you can say whatever you need to say for us to process it through. We work smart. We're not going to try to work hard. These are our dates. So we have a kickoff party on August 4th, because guess what? Y'all are going to become each other's best referral partners. So I want you to meet. I want us to get to know each other. I know most of my students from years past because we hang out intimately for a lot of time together. Then we begin our weekly meetings. And if you need this to go slower, Chantel can drop the link for you so you can go through it at your own pace. These are our meeting times ending just before the holiday season. 50 minutes Tuesday, Thursday. I put 2 hours because it was too hard to write 1 hour and 50 minutes. We end with 10 minutes till, so you have time to transition. We mentioned the breaks. So the 4th and 5th week of each month, you have a break. It is a teach, do, review model. So learn it, do it, and then I'm giving you feedback. So let's say that you have a paragraph on your specialty page and you're like, I don't know if this works. We'll look at it together and I will let you know. That works, that doesn't work. I want you to be successful, so I'm going to be honest with you about what's good, it's not. Your picture is bad, I will tell you your picture is bad. For those of you who want more support, we have a VIP option. And all that is, you get a ton in the marketing intensive. You do not need VIP. This is optional. But if you know, like, Amber, I want your eyes on my copy, I want you to read my specialty page in depth and give me feedback. I do 2 of those asset reviews for the VIP folks. And you have private Boxer coaching with me. You can leave me a message anytime, day or night. I respond at least twice a week. External processors, this is for you. People who have trouble knowing when something's done and they're going to perfectionize it to death, this is you. I will tell you, move on. It's good to go. If you have some mindset issues with like, how do I talk to clients about this? I can help you in the one-on-one. All right, let's get to what's included, and then we're going to quickly get to pricing. This is called pricing, green y'all. We sell a lot of these things separately, and the price point that we sell them at is much higher than when we combine everything for you in the course. So we've already talked about boundaries. We go in depth. We've talked about flow client. We'll go in depth on all of your flow clients. I even have a bot that I built that will help you go deeper into your flow client. I really love that damn bot. I also have a bot for copywriting that's going to use my framework that you need to have on your website for it to convert. There has to be at least 1,000 words. It has to follow a certain sales process for people to hit the button to buy. So you don't need to have that memorized. I'll just help you write all the copy, and then we'll put it into the bot and it'll kick it out in the right structure that you need for your site. Then I'm going to skip this for just a second. We're going to SEO and AEO-ify that copy so that page actually gets found. We're also going to use content marketing here to get you found and get you picked. I call it marketing through acts of kindness. And we're going to find who the relationships are that are going to get you your premium fee private pay clients. Of all of them, I feel like this is the most important right now, because big tech can never touch your personal relationships. Right? Big tech can actually win any algorithm, but it cannot touch actual relationships. So there's scripts, there's how-tos, there's like all sorts of things to help you figure out who they are, what to say, how to follow up, how to stay front of mind without being obnoxious, right? We've talked about getting found for free. So this is SEO and AEO for therapists. I just added in that lesson. I forgot to edit it here. And then just like we're going to end this free training series on day 5 with a unique to you marketing plan, like your what do you do now? We do that at the end of the marketing training too, because you're going to be on maintenance mode. There's going to be things that you're going to need to continue to do. And I want you to know exactly what those are. Okay. I buy a lot of courses and then I don't finish them, or I like peter out. So it's very important to me to help you guys not do that. It's very supportive. It's a very supportive cohort, and I am in your face a lot to make sure that you're getting results. There is a pay in full bonus. I'll talk to you about this in a little bit. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the prices. Ding, 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 ding. Boy, we might need to move these up. Okay. So if you pay in full, you're going to save some money. So the total cost for the course is $32.50. If you want to pay in full, you will save a bunch of money. Okay. The VIP, so adding the personal support, is $6,000. If you want to pay in full, you will save a bunch of money. Okay. But check this out. I know we are not Richie Von Richers. And so if paying in full is not an option for you, I want to make it really easy for you to join anyway. So we created payment plans, and I do something very weird. I'm going to tell you that it's weird, but nobody screwed me over yet. The course is 4 months. The payment plan is 6 months. So what does this tell you? It says, I trust you, and I trust that you're going to continue to pay even when you have all the goodies from the course, because it's the only way that I can get the monthly payment plan down to something I feel like is totally reasonable for most people. Okay. So there is a down payment, and then your monthly payment is here. This is for standard. I also did the same, but even crazier for VIP. So you're like, how's VIP cheaper than standard? And it is because I give you 12 months to pay it off. The course is 4 months long. So it puts me in a little bit of an uncomfortable position, but not a single person has not paid me. So I trust you. I want you to be able to do this if you feel like it's important and helpful for you. So we're making it as accessible as we can. I'm going to let you go through the rest. It's like a lot of people saying good things about it, and you can look at that yourself. It's weird for me to say it out loud. I'm going to come back to looking at you in the face to answer any questions that you might have. Liz, I'm not surprised that you don't see the little box to click because it's almost invisible. And maybe Chantel can help you find that. And you can also email us. I do want to remind you of the bonus. So if you're thinking, I might want to do this, but I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to like look at the math, remember there's 48 hours before that bonus expires of how to transition out of these companies ethically, humanely, and covering your booty. That's a mini course. It's included for you. Plus, if you buy now, you get every other bonus that I'm going to talk about. You get all the bonuses, but I'm not telling you all of them right now because then it wouldn't make it suspenseful. So you have some time. If you already know that you want it, you're going to get a $500 coaching call if you're in the first 10 to purchase tonight before midnight. Okay, I think that that's most important. Asking if I have a standalone called price anchoring. If I have a standalone for SEO or AEO. I do not have a standalone for SEO because without knowing deeply all of the other parts of the equation, the SEO is not going to work. And really, unless you're doing all the other things, the SEO is not going to work. I do have a standalone for AEO, but you should only buy it if you are super freaking clear on your ideal client or clients. I mean, like super clear. Wow. If not, we're covering that already in the marketing intensive. I think there was. Geraldine, are you trying to ask a question of me? Because I'm not hearing you. It sounds like maybe you're going through your earbuds. I'm going to scroll down just in case. How often do I offer the intensive? Feel free to interrupt me if you come back in. We do it at least once a year. Sometimes twice, but at least once a year. Okay, drop the link to purchase again. I keep forgetting to send y'all the dang slides. Chantel, will you help me remember to send the dang slides? I think, so part of it is that I'm perfectionizing because I have a bunch of slides in there that I don't cover because I'm duplicating it from previous ones. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I got to clean these up before I send them. Rah, rah, rah. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. Maybe I can just send them exactly as they are. Maybe I don't have to perfectionize it. Okay, I'm scrolling up to see if there are other questions. There is a replay. It will be on YouTube, and you can just Google Amber Lyda YouTube and it will come up. We're also going to send it to you in email. Oh, Missy, thank you so much. Just as a marketing intensive, I'm not paying her. The marketing intensive is 100% worth the investment. There's so much helpful information. I still go back and check out the modules when I feel stuck. Missy, oh, so those of you who have taken the marketing intensive in the past, remember that you have lifetime access to the materials and to every update. So I'm adding in and changing up a couple lessons this time around. I will be emailing you about which lessons those are so that you can make sure that you get them. And if you join Momentum, which is a mastermind that I run, you get to come live to any of the trainings that you want to come to. Bernice says, okay, great. Bernice says, I'm a little confused about the asset reviews. Do you only look at 2 writing items twice? Are there other opportunities to get eyes on the work? Yes. Okay, great question. So in our 2 hours every Thursday, that's not VIP, that's everybody. I can look at pieces of writing for anybody. So a paragraph here, a paragraph there, no problemo. But if I'm going to go through an entire page of copy, like an entire specialty page, that's in VIP because it takes me for freaking ever. So if you want that, you want VIP, and we do 2 of those. So you can do a specialty page. I give you feedback. I run it through 2 different bots to help you out. And then you go forth and do the feedback. You can have me look at it again, but it doesn't really make sense to do that. I would go ahead and submit a totally different asset for the second one. And people like submit scripts that they're going to use for their marketing. Sometimes they'll do like their homepage. Homepages are a pain in the butt if you have multiple specialties. So there's a very specific way that you want to do it. A lot of times people want me to look at their homepage to make sure that that's working. Ooh, my voice is running out. I love the bots. So, I have some strong feelings about AI, and a positive feeling that I have about it is when you're using it for copywriting, we do not want it to sound like AI. So I teach you how to teach it your writing style, your voice, the little cute catchphrases that you say, the way that you think about and talk about your clients. So that as it's editing it, it's not pulling your voice out and starting to sound more and more like AI. It's actually adding your voice in. When I send you guys emails, I'll say something annoying in a second. When I send you guys emails, I run it through AI to make sure it's readable, because otherwise you're never reading my emails. They're too long. So I run it through for clarity. And then if it starts AI-ifying what I say stop that, amplify it, go back and amplify it again. And it will add back in my personality. Now, what I haven't been good at is correcting its grammar. You know how it just loves to do like certain grammatical things, and I'm just too lazy to go back and fix it, but we will for your specialty pages. Karen, the number of people in each cohort ranges. Usually it's somewhere between like 30 to 40-ish. I think that's about right. Chantel, if you know differently, let me know. I am honest. So that's Amber's honest. If you are thinking about the course, but you're not sure, what I do not want you to do is to buy it and be unsure. That's not good. Email me what your thoughts are, and I will be honest with you about whether I think it's a good fit or not, and give you the pros and cons. I'm probably not going to be like, you definitely need it, because I don't usually work that way. So I will tell you, yes, it would help with this. No, it won't help with that, so that you can make an informed decision. All right, I'm still reading. How often? Okay, answered that one. Any other questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. Okay, my email is gmail.com. If you have a question about the course, go ahead and email there. If you have like a tech question, I'm not going to know the answer. So you're going to email this one instead. Okay. And I put a Hebrew word in one of the responses. I called it out, and I said, you're right, and then fixed it. It does confess when it's wrong. Well, Liz, I'm glad that you found the button. That's a new way for it to look. I haven't seen it like that before. And remember, you guys, if any of you are thinking about buying the intensive and you are in a step-by-step program with me, to please reach out to us to get the second coupon code, because you get a bigger discount. Lauren asks, do you cover SEO strategy for online therapists? Yes, yes, yes. And how to position yourself strategically. I get stuck figuring out which cities to use as an anchor to market, and how to position myself. Yes, 100% yes. All right, guys, I think, did I get all of the questions? And it's 3 o'clock on the dot. How awesome are we doing? Feel free to email me. I am about to drive. Well, I'm about to passenger princess my way 3 days across the country to Colorado. And I have a signal booster. So I'll be responding to your emails in the car. I'm literally getting in the van in like an hour, and then we are heading out. So I'm happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Rachel says, my sister asked the following above. What are your thoughts on healme.com? I don't know anything about them. So tell me more about them, and I will tell you if I have thoughts. All right, gang. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.